them. But
Hi, Zizaran here with another build guide for Last Epoch, and this is a collab with Lizard, and we're also going to be featuring Terex a little bit in this. And this build guide, or this build, is what I am going to be playing at the Last Epoch League launch. And the endgame version of this actually uses one of the items that I've created for this game, the Herald of the Scurry. And this was a really cool thing that I paid $1,000 to create a unique item, and it turns all the wolves into squirrels. If you're a Path of Exile player, this is a very similar build to Arakali's Fang, but it is a little bit better. A really cool feature, and you'll be able to see here in a second, is by holding A on the keyboard, you can move minions around. So just by, moving them around, they will like follow your cursor and they will attack everything that's near there, which is a really cool feature, and minions play really well in this game. Another thing that's different from Arakali's Fang is you don't need to summon these. These are pretty much always up. So now we're going to showcase first to give you an idea of how the build plays at the end game. So Lizard is going to be doing a map in the background here. So just start killing things and we'll show off the build. So the way it plays is pretty much you can just run around and everything's gonna die. We are using swipe to be doing even more damage, and it's basically sort of summoning extra wolves that are attacking for you in a way. And we have the shout that buffs you and has a lot of cool stats as well. So it's a pretty simple build to play and gives you a lot of mobility where you can just run around and things will die very quickly. And this is showing things at the end game as well. Now, for the rest of this video, we are going to turn off damage numbers. And the reason for this is being recorded a week or two before the patch. And we aren't 100% sure that damage numbers are going to be exact because there's a very big chance that there will be patches right before launch goes up. But we do want to make sure that we have solid builds for you either way. To make sure that everything is like still running well and hasn't been nerfed by patch, we are going to update both the YouTube video and the Maxroll thing. And yeah, this will be available in text form on Maxroll, and you'll be able to see it here. So I hope you guys like the build. That's basically how it plays. And when I asked Lizard about how is this build, how would you rank it? And he said he thinks it has the second highest damage potential for single target. So this is a really good build to do like the dungeon for the legendary potential like Julra and things like that. It is an absolute beast and it gets incredibly tanky on hardcore. So it's a very good choice for a first build. So this is the leveling portion of the guide, and if you're used to following my Path of Exile build guides that uses POB, the Maxroll side actually has all the tools you need and is really good that you can hover over everything. So it's really nice and easy to follow, and it is, if you're used to my POE guides, very step by step. So it'll do everything through the each section. Here, for example, for the different skill trees, you can click at the bottom and you see what you're going to be filling in first, and it literally like will fill it in for you. So you don't need to worry about like taking something out of turn. It'll tell you what is next every step of the way between the two skill trees as well. So it's very easy to follow the leveling section, and this build gets a lot of strength and a lot of health, and will be a very tanky build. That's why I want to play it on top of being the item I designed. That's obviously a big reason I want to play it as well. But the item can be tricky to actually find. So a lot of people are thinking, well, can I even start playing this build, or do I need to find the item first and then make a character? Now, I have actually played this several times, and obviously I started without having the helmet and then would farm for the helmet while playing wolves. And this is an even more optimized version of this because I don't have even 1,000 hours in this game. It's a little bit below that, but even with that, going in blind, it was quite easy to make the build powerful enough. And this is now super min-maxed with Lizard and Terex, so it'll be even better. So it's the same system here for skills. So you start out with swipe and then you get wolves, etc. And you can see at the bottom here where you're putting in different points. So very straightforward. And here for wolves as well, we are basically instantly going for being able to summon wolves up to your maximum number of companions. So you're not going to be having like a bear, a saber-tooth, and the other summons. We are focusing exclusively on that. Everything is extremely detailed in the Maxroll guide, so definitely worth reading through as well if you want more information and you aren't familiar with Last Epoch. And things like, for example, farming the Herald of the Scurry helmet, that drops in a special timeline, and we'll talk about that later. So for the launch, this is going to have 5 sections with more gear showing. At the moment, there's early game, mid to late campaign, and early monolith. And you can see here that there are no uniques that, except for Avarice, which is a quest item. Everything is like very easy to follow, and you can see that everything is just blue items. So it's very, very easy to gear. You're not going to need anything crazy. And yeah, easy to follow. And then we'll move on to the Squirrel Beastmaster, and this is once you have actually gotten the Herald of the Scurry. And a really good thing about this build, and if you're coming from Path of Exile, you want a build that has a low floor as your starter. Like, it comes online very fast and becomes really strong, but this is actually a build that has a really high ceiling too that you can keep farming for. Now, if you're new to Last Epoch, unique items have something called legendary potential, so you want to keep farming multiple Herald of the Scurry. The roll on the helmet is really, really important as well. I made it like very kind of similar to Adventurous Gamble, where it has like a wide range of rolls, and getting a +3 Herald of the Scurry with high legendary potential so that you can add +4 wolves would make it incredibly strong. So this is a build that you want to like keep farming for and upgrading the gear, which is really fun. And if we scroll here at the bottom, you can see that there's like loads to like start, and then once you get Herald of the Scurry is when the build really comes online. You can go to this section roughly around level 70, and then endgame gear, here you're starting to get like maybe a legendary potential Herald of the Scurry, and then it's like the best in slot with everything we've maybe been farming for weeks, and you have an insane build. So Lizard, you've been playing this build a lot. Can you tell me some upsides and downsides with this build?
Well, the best upside of this build is the single target damage is just, well, you have to experience it. Let's just say that. It's one of those no hand builds, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It is very powerful. And I would say if there would be a downside of it, is that it can sometimes be a bit slow, depending on the layout and depending on the map, you know, how minions actually have to go kill things before you can move on, because you kind of rely on them to survive and kind of like clearing step by step. So sometimes in some layouts, you know, it can be a bit annoying to wait. But I would say with the recent upgrades to the AI of the game and some of the nodes that makes the squirrels or the wolves being able to jump into their enemies, it's actually not a problem as big as it used to be. And the build feels pretty good. The squirrels are very aggro.
And for all the abilities that we're using, can you tell me a little bit more about what each ability does and how you're using them?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously this is a wolf/squirrel build, and your bread and butter, you know, is going to be putting points into the skill tree. And funnily enough, this skill tree is so powerful and so versatile, depending on how much skill points you get, because you can, with certain uniques and stuff, you can get up to 30 points on wolf.
Yeah.
You can get pretty creative with the tree. Obviously, our planner kind of shows the highlights that you must take, but you can get pretty creative with it and, you know, get some extra utility, get some extra dodge for your wolves even, maybe
Nice.
some extra bleed. So they're basically your bread and butter, your damage, and they're good boys. What can I say? Then Swipe is actually a huge damage multiplier for this build, because there's this interaction allowed by the node wall calling that allows you to proc additional attacks from your wolves when you hit enemies with Swipe. So it's basically, you know, you're swiping with your wolves alongside your wolves in the fray of combat, and you can see kind of like these clone wolf spirit things coming out of their mouth, and it's just well, this scales with attack speed, so
Very nice.
you know, you can get these procs going like a machine gun, pretty much. Frenzy Totem is an amazing buff. It gives a lot of damage, a lot of flat damage actually for your wolves, and on top of that, thanks to Lead the Pack, you can get a lot of crit chance. And even though you can play squirrels as bleed, the scaling sources they have for crit are amazing, so it is definitely better as a crit build. So you can get a lot of crit chance from this too.
So Lizard, I haven't played a build in a while. What are some main things that have changed since I last played it?
Well, the game has grown a lot, and mainly a lot of new cool uniques have been put into the game. We're going to be including all of this information on the planner too, so your viewers can take a look at some of these crazy shenanigans that are going on with wolves. The first one is one that I kind of previously mentioned very briefly, which is this sword called Apogee of the Frozen Light, which basically gives you a multiplicative damage buff every time you hit enemies and a minion dies, right?
Yeah.
Your squirrels are never gonna die because they're really tanky and they have a lot of life steal. So we need to find a way to proc this item to get the damage multiplier. And there's different ways to do this. You know, you can use the bee gloves, you can use bee idols, you can use binds. But the community has found a way that makes this extremely easy and extremely automatic, which is combining this new experimental affix called Zombie on Potion with this ring, which resummons zombies every time they die. So basically how it works is like you can just use a potion and it will summon zombies, and when the zombies die, which they have a duration, and while you're in the combat, the zombies are gonna die themselves, and new zombies will basically respawn. You can see right now they have a bit of HP because I have minion HP, but while you're playing in the map, they basically die non-stop. I'm gonna show you the potions just so you see how that happens. But you see they die and they just
many.
Yeah, but you only need one though to proc the Frozen Vengeance buff. But this is a huge synergy of this build, and where you're mapping, you can basically keep this buff forever, right?
Very cool.
Another really cool thing they've added into the game that this build didn't have access to before is a clever solution. So this item gives you intelligence. You see the zombies going on again. Yeah. So this item gives you intelligence based on your total strength. So you see right now I have 60 strength, and if I put on this item, now I'm also gonna have well, it gives strength itself, right? So now I'm gonna have 68 intelligence, which gives me a lot of ward retention. And what this allows you to do is it allows you to go low life for pretty crazy EHP builds. Think about it like on PoE, when you eventually get all your energy shield gear and then you go for that unkillable potential.
Wow. Very cool.
And the more strength you have and the more HP you have, this number can get up to 20k cool even. Yes. And the good thing about this is like obviously you're gonna be taking advantage of this node here called Berserker, which gives you less damage taken on low health. So yeah, you're a tanky boy pretty much. And again, this ward with the proper setup, you can go up to almost 20k. This might get nerfed. So just keep that in mind.
Awesome. Anything else?
Yeah. This is pretty much it. Also, when you go for the low life, a lot of people like going for Dead Rattle for the crit multi and the intelligence, because again, it's great synergy, between the low life, the intelligence, and the fact that you have the crit multi. This is like a very, very softcore approach to the build. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Awesome.
But it's fun.
Very cool. So, Lizard, what can be target farmed for the build, and where do you target farm it?
So, if you want to target farm all of these uniques, the Herald of the Scurry drops. It's a random drop, but you can actually target farm the Black Sun timeline, which is this one right here. And this one has unique helmets, special nodes. So you can just spend your time there targeting those echoes to have a better chance at getting that. You can also use your runes of ascendance. It's I think it's a 1% chance for Herald of the Scurry, but hey, might as well, It's in other games that would be very high chance. So
I got it on my first try.
Yeah, I saw that clip. Kind of legendary, It is scripted. Well,
I actually messaged the devs after and asked, "Did you guys do that?" And they're like, "No, we swear."
It's actual RNG, insane.
Yeah. Any other items?
Yeah, you have these gloves called Julra's Obsession, and basically how these gloves work is that they will give the stats that this item has will go into your minions. So if you get like armor shred or tier 7 attack speed, well, your minions will get cracked basically. And this one drops from Julra tier 3. So again, this is a Julra farmer, and it uses a lot of legendaries, and it drops an item in there. So it's kind of like perfect for the build, because while it's doing its main activity, actually has a chance to get one of its best items.
Very cool.
Then we have Ribbons of Blood. This item is great because it makes it so your wolves cannot be crit, and it gives them some damage and lifesteal and HP for yourself. And this one drops from the Abomination in Fall of the Outcast right here.
Okay.
And this one can drop on the regular timeline at level 58. But obviously, you want to do it at level 100 if possible to have a chance at higher LP. It is actually possible to get this item with 3 LP or more. So it's one of those, you get a 3 LP of this with some exalted strength or something.
Yeah.
And you're going to have a beefy ring.
Very nice.
obviously then we have Bastion. You know, I'm one of those that I said, you just play the game, and by the time you get all your other goals, you probably have a Bastion. I see a lot of new players putting too much emphasis into getting these kind of items, whether they could just play the game normally, work on their blessings, etc. And by the time their character is, you know, powerful enough, they might just get lucky and find it during the normal playthrough.
Yeah.
And you know, then there's some other non-rare stuff like, you know, like Apogee, like the Fang or the Claw that basically allows you to save some points on your passive tree. You can also use that Rattle. You know, this is explained in the guide. You know, if you want more DPS, I kind of like going tanky, but if you want it, you get DPS, you can go for that Rattle on your Amulet.
Yeah, so a lot of softcore players might do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
If you're completely new to Last Epoch, I will have other things like beginner tips and tricks and a few other videos up on my channel as well. So if you do want some of the base concepts explained to you, make sure you check those out. I hope you guys are enjoying all these build collabs. There's going to be a lot, and I'll be working with the brightest and best Last Epoch creators to make a lot of cool content and show you guys some really cool creators from the Last Epoch community. Go make sure you follow Lizard on both Twitch and YouTube. An amazing content creator, puts out so much hard work, and it really shows. It's going to be really cool to see how he just demolishes the end game at launch. Absolute demon at the game. So I hope you guys enjoy all of this. Make sure you support both our channels, sub if you like the video, but more importantly, try to die less than I do.